Good to What's going on, guys? Welcome to the distance competition recap video. Here with my friend Clint. You know him, Blitz Disc Golf, the standstill master.
What up?
On Friday, June 14th, we went to Kayak Point Disc Golf course, I guess resort. It's like a huge, massive resort thing.
Yeah, you can check it out if you've never seen it. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I was pretty stressed. You know, I've only been playing for a short amount of time, so it's not like I haven't even played with pros at all, let alone competed against them. So I was really nervous about it, and yeah, I think that kind of is expected, and you kind of got to expect when you're competing in something for the first time to do your best and just take what comes.
Yeah, that's well said. What kind of helped keep me grounded and not allow the expectations or the hype to overwhelm me and cause too much of a degradation in performance was my experience in track meets. Running the 100-meter in NCAA track meets, which is essentially, you know, you're training for potentially weeks between meets, and then you have a 10-second race. And it really feels like you have 0.2 seconds to not screw up when the gun goes off. And the intensity and amount of perfection that's required in your execution is kind of like one of the most extreme things you can put yourself through mentally when it comes to a sport. So I think that helped me a lot, and I was leaning on that.
Yeah, so I've competed a bit in powerlifting. Actually, I shouldn't even say I've competed in it. I've done like my own meets and have set my own goals and done stuff like that. But it is all training for one specific moment, and that's kind of important. I've also had some experience like in tournaments with like video games, like Counter-Strike, Valorant, Super Smash Bros. Melee, that kind of stuff, which is a similar like stress level where performance is super important and it all kind of peaks at one moment. Before the event, we kind of got a layout for where it would be and what the format would be. Right, we were told we were going to get 10 throws, and there was going to be a bunch of categories that you could compete in, like roller, standstill, off arm, max distance, and max speed.
And that's where we got to thank Brian Weissman, because he kind of heard about the distance competition. He lives in the Seattle area, and he stepped in to kind of save, go in and like provide us a good format. So he helped to organize things.
I remember I warmed up. I think my like third warm up throw was like 71 miles an hour or something like that. Yeah. And I was super stoked. And then we were throwing. I probably threw like 10 warm up throws with the same discs. We'll talk about what we competed with disc wise in a little bit, but I threw like 10 warm up throws and I crushed 550 with at least one or two of them. I was throwing over 500 pretty well.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous to watch Clint's warm-up because I had never really seen someone that can throw that far in person before. And then he's just doing this huge coil, smooth pull-through, and the disc just jumps out. And it's like this really high spin, low wobble, nose down throw, and it just keeps penetrating forward and looked ridiculous. So that kind of helped me get the juices flowing too, because I'm like, dang, he's throwing bombs. Like, I'm ready to throw bombs. So, yeah, I did my, super slow, methodical warm-up as usual. I was throwing my green ethers, and I was just kind of burning them over. I wasn't throwing with enough hyzer, and I was probably throwing a little bit more nose down than I'm used to. So they just didn't have enough stability for that power level, but my body felt good. So I threw a few of those, burned them over a little bit, and then out came the Emperors. So yep. Clint has these Luster Sea Blend?
Yeah, Luster Sea Emperors. And I've been telling you about them for a while.
Yeah.
And I don't think you'd ever tried one. And I was like, you're going to love these. They're like perfect stability. They have great glide, blah, blah, blah. And this is kind of the first time you ended up trying one.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, what's the big deal about these Emperors? Come on, man. He has like 7 of these red, like identical Emperors in this like burrito bag that we brought. And I'm like, why are you bringing that many? We don't need that many. And then they ended up completely saving the day because he's like, all right, we'll try the Emperor. It's a little bit more stable, still goes really far, much more reliable coming out of the turn. So I'm like, all right, cool. So the first one I just kind of early released and threw it into the trees on the left before it was able to go through the turn. Then I grabbed the second one, make a small adjustment, put it out there on a massive distance line, kind of like medium effort 360. And I think people were saying it went out to like 600.
Yeah,
right?
It was crushed.
And then somehow the format that Brian had set up to make it a good distance competition got changed, and then they made us do some accuracy skills challenge stuff.
Yes. We hadn't warmed up accuracy at all. Yeah. Right, and when we found out the format changed, like we didn't want to be like Spoil Sports either and just like sit out, because that's kind of lame. Like I feel like if we're gonna come and we're gonna have the pros compete against us in something we love, like I don't mind at all giving them the limelight in something that they're way better at, right?
Yeah.
Actually, Nick, thankfully, he volunteered to go first, and I was really nervous because we hadn't
I just
warmed
wanted
up.
to get it over with.
So yeah, I was when you guys watch the GK Pro footage, like that's the first time I had thrown a putter that day. That's the first time I'd thrown a forehead in like over a week or something.
Yeah.
And like I don't even know how to throw a roller. I didn't even bring a roller disc. So honestly, it was okay, and like I feel like we performed okay considering the circumstances.
And at the same time, it was like, all right, we get to hang out with like the reigning world champion, Isaac Robinson, some of the best players in the world, Ezra Robinson, Alden, all those guys, Bradley Williams. So that's obviously a great consolation prize for having to go against those guys, throwing accuracy, power down shots we weren't even ready for. So that ended up being fun. And like, you know, Luke Humphreys is like such a cool, good dude.
Yeah, you took my. I wanted to talk
You're gonna talk
Luke
about
Humphreys.
Okay, well we can both like talk about how much we like him. They're like, all right, roller time. All right, Nick, you're up. And I'm like, I don't even know how to throw rollers. I don't have a roller disc. And then Isaac Robinson's like, here, try my D3 for this roller. And I'm like, are you seriously like gonna let me use your disc, dude? That's insane. And then he gives it to me, and I'm like, all right, should I just throw it like medium height, medium anheuser? And he's like, yeah, that sounds about right. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I just walk up and kind of just put it on a line that seems decent, but I just know it's like a 1 in 100 chance it's going to work out because rollers are so angle sensitive.
Yeah.
Somehow it ends up like working out almost perfectly.
Pretty good, yes.
And it goes pretty close to the pin that was out at like 420 or whatever the distance was. So that was super cool. Thanks again, Isaac, if you are watching this video, which I mean, I don't know if he's watching this video. He probably has way too much going on, but that was super cool.
He also let you keep the disc.
And he let me keep the disc, which was even cooler.
And the cement spot with the turf tee pad was like angled so that the tailwind became like a right to left, like swirly wind or something. It was way different than what we warmed up with. And the turf tee pad was also quite a bit worse than what we warmed up with. And at the edge of the turf tee pad was legit a death drop. Like a downward hill, right? So you couldn't go off the tee pad. And for me, like for my standstill, it was kind of okay. The turf was a bit wet. It was like drizzling outside. So as time passed, I was the last person to throw. But as time passed, that turf tee pad was just getting a little more damp every minute. And by the time I threw, my shoes were like squeaking on it and stuff. So you can actually see in my form, my back leg is like freaking out trying to keep me from falling forward off the death drop and from not slipping. And for Nick, I mean, it really hurt the 360 because he couldn't really commit to his brace. Yeah. He would like brace for as long as he could and then like run down the hill.
Pitter patter down the hill.
And like you guys will see this in the videos, but it ended up like being mostly a headwind or maybe like a right to left headwind. We all competed in the same environment with the same like issues. So I'm not making any excuses for like my performance. I didn't perform as well as I wish I had, but the pros had to play in the exact same elements that I did. So I like think it's even more impressive that they are so good at playing in any elements and like with any footing and all this stuff. Like they were hitting their lines perfectly without slipping at all. Like they have such a more honed form for being consistent than I do. That I really like appreciated that about them, and I wanted to give them props for that too.
So even though on my 360 I was at a power advantage, these guys were so good at using the shape of the fairway to their advantage because they're just so much more skilled than me. So basically the left side, as viewed from where I'm throwing from, the left side is lower than the right side. So basically it sloped upwards as you went further right. And you can imagine if you're throwing a high S curve, it's going to drift to the right and crash into the upslope, or it's going to lose. Basically, you're going to lose time in the air because there's an upslope to the right. So the trick was try to throw as close to the trees on the left as possible without hitting them, but you're still going to deal with that shot flexing out into that upslope. These pros, they were able to throw these tighter lines and just hit them so consistently to use the more downslope left side of the fairway to their advantage, especially Bradley Williams. Yeah. He was doing a really good job. He did it
perfect. To comment on the pros just a little more, they were all super nice to us, I thought. They made us feel super, like, we were really comfortable. We felt welcomed. They didn't, like, cold shoulder us or anything like that. Yep. We were all joking. It was so fun. They made us feel really welcome. And I wanted to, you commented on Luke Humphreys earlier, but I wanted to comment on Luke Humphreys too. You should follow Luke Humphreys. That guy is an actual, like, he's so nice and he's so like chill. He's like, he's got to be my favorite pro now just because
Yeah,
he was so
same.
cool. All right. So I'll talk about my throws. So I always, there's like a specific thing that I kind of preach when I coach. And like, it's even in the comments of some of my YouTube videos that the most important thing for me to get high speeds is to stay relaxed. And that's where I failed, I think. I threw 5 throws and I hit maybe 68 miles an hour as my top end, which is very low for me. Even on radar, I think I can break 70. I have before. I've hit 71 on radar. So I was about 3 miles an hour lower than normal. And I was just like, you know what? Everybody's under the same constraints here. Just hit your mile per hour. You know what you can do. You know you can hit 70 standstill. Just do that. And I just couldn't. I think I was too tense. And I didn't stay relaxed and just let my body move. I was really trying to like power up too much and I created too much tension with my arm. And it just kind of gummed my form up and made me like tense and not flowy. And when I throw the best standstills, I am just like kind of loose and flowy and just following the power. Just like I teach in all my YouTube videos. I throw the same way that I teach. So the tension and like the stress of performing just kind of got to me, and I didn't follow my own rule of staying relaxed and like letting the power come. And I think I paid for it, with a 3 mile an hour like difference from what I expected. I could have performed a lot better, and if I compete again, I'm gonna make sure I really focus on like, hey, you have to stay relaxed. You have to just like throw like you throw on the course, where you're just like chilled out, loose arm, all that stuff. So that's how my performance went. I think people were still impressed by the standstills somewhat, but I didn't show what I wanted to show. Like I wanted to show I have the best standstill throw in the world, and I don't think I quite did that. So
Okay, so it might just sound not good at face value because you guys have seen him throw 530, 540 all the time in training, even 550 plus, on the tech disc simulator. And kind of I'm not just BSing to like make him feel better about it. We've already talked about this a bunch. But the conditions with the headwind that was kind of swirling and hard to predict, combined with that upslope that we were throwing onto, especially to the right where our distance shots ended up, because of the distance shapes that we've been practicing this whole time. That subtracted easily, I would say, 50 feet.
yeah.
So it just shows how impressive the pros results were, but also you were probably down a little bit mile an hour because of the stuff you talked about, but still take that, context and consider that with the distances that he ended up with. I've seen him throw over 500 already, when we've been playing together the last few days. So keep that in mind with the results. But yeah, and then getting into my throws. So one of the big things is kind of like the fear of embarrassment of not living up to what people's expectations are for you almost guarantees you to will it into existence if you're focused on the fear of that failure and embarrassing yourself. So you have to just come to peace with the fact that you might embarrass yourself, and it just is what it is. Like at the end of the day, no one's opinion on earth really matters too much if you're just being a good person and doing your best, being the best version of yourself. So that's something that I like to stay centered on. So using that to stay relaxed, and also focusing on how my body is feeling. I like to focus on how my body feels during my 360s. So once I visualize the line, I want to feel my body moving through the approach and going through the throw. And staying focused on the body helps you not focus as much on what's going on around you. So I didn't really feel like the eyes looking at me or what was going to be the repercussions if I didn't do well. In my first 2 throws, I did a 3-step 360. I kind of stalled them out, so I wasn't turning the emperors over like I was in practice. But I didn't feel any semblance of any panic whatsoever, even though I just noob hyzered them basically.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like, oh crap, I better not noob hyzer all 5 throws. That's going to be, the worst thing ever. It's going to end my career on YouTube. It's basically just like, okay, I know how to adjust to make the next throws better. No reason to panic. I've done this enough times. So I went through and I just, adjusted my mechanics just a little bit and fixed where I was running up so I wasn't falling off the cliff at the end of the turf pad.
Yeah.
And just tried to throw them a little bit lower.
I think you also lowered your mile per hour just a hair to get the angle.
Yeah. I slowed things down just so that I would have more time to hit the line that I needed to hit. And that ended up getting, I think my 4th shot that turned over and got a full flight went out to like 555 or something. I can't remember the exact distance. That ended up being the winning throw for the competition. And then I think my fifth one was also decent. It just didn't have as, good of an angle.
Yep.
But it was like over 530 if I had to guess. I can't remember
I think
exactly
it was around
what
540 or something.
Yeah. So hitting those last two, like, I felt like I basically threw them as well as I could given the circumstances. So I was happy that I did that and executed, and then obviously it was bonus that ended up being enough to win. So yeah, that summarizes the.
It's gonna go off forever until someone opens it too.
Yeah, really.
I'll go get it.
So yeah, that summarizes the awesome experience of going out to kayak and competing in the distance competition. Boom, baby. The distance competition out there. So before I sign off, I wanted to thank you guys again for all the continued support from all of my YouTube videos and also all the nice comments and messages you guys have sent me, wishing me good luck. It always means a ton to me, and it definitely helped me do better than I would have without the support. So with that, there's going to probably be more videos coming out from our collab.
Yep.
So make sure you head over to Clint's channel, Blitz Disc Golf. I'll put a card up on the screen here so you can go subscribe because he's going to be posting half of the videos from our collab as well. And I almost forgot to thank Kayak Point Disc Golf Resort for having us out, and all the staff there were super friendly.
Yep.
Made us feel really welcomed and helped make the experience better, as well as GK Pro, Luke Humphreys, all the camera crew doing an awesome job making us feel welcome, and also all the pros that were out there helping the vibe and being super friendly to us.
Yep.
So yeah, that pretty much does it for the video. I'll see you guys next time, and take care.
Shout out to Standstill Nation.
Yes, sir.